Hi, my name is Sergey Radchenko. I'm here to talk about this book, To Run the World, The Kremlin's Cold Orbit for Global Power, published by Cambridge University Press. What I wanted to talk about are sources. Now, that is a question of considerable interest for historians. The book does have more than 2,100 endnotes, and these reference archives all over the world: Russia, China, the United States, Great Britain, Mongolia, India, you name it, a variety of countries. But of course, the vast majority of documents came from Russia. What archives did I use? The most important archive was the Russian State Archive of Contemporary History, known mainly by its Russian abbreviation Rgani, R-G-A-N-I. Now, this archive contains papers of key leaders. People like Nikita Khrushchev, Leonid Brezhnev, Yuri Andropov, Mikhail Gorbachev. Stalin's papers are elsewhere. They are the Archive for Political and Social History, known by its Russian acronym RGASPI. And by the way, RGASPI has scanned and made available Stalin's personal papers online. It's a bit clunky. I'm in the website, but you can basically view it there. I think it's of great use for aspiring historians. But back to the other archive, Rgani. What did I find there? Hundreds and hundreds and thousands of records pertaining to foreign policy. In terms of personal papers, we have, for example, records of conversations between those key leaders that I identified and their various interlocutors, foreign visitors, for example. And it's important to read those. We get to understand the personalities of these Soviet leaders through reading how they interacted with others. We learn about their ambitions, about their fears, about their delusions, and these are especially good for Nikita Khrushchev, Leonid Brezhnev. For Khrushchev, until his overthrow in 1964, remarkable materials there. For Brezhnev, until the late 1970s. Why until the late 1970s? That's because from the mid-1970s, he started his mental decline, and records of conversations turned into simple recitation of materials prepared by aides. So they are no longer as interesting to us as a historian. No, they're still interesting, they're just not as revealing, perhaps. In addition, you have various letters by these leaders, memoranda by their aides. Sometimes you can trace the entire process of how certain memoranda on key policy issues were drafted. You also have, in Khrushchev's case, rants. Khrushchev, who never really read all that much, liked to rant, and his various pronouncements on random subjects would be recorded, usually by his aides. And these are available now for historians. For example, many of his letters to John F. Kennedy were first spoken out by Nikita Khrushchev himself. And of course, if you compare these rants with the actual letters, you see wide divergences between the two. That's because, the aides had to prettify his pronouncements. Anyway, by analyzing this thousands of pages of source material, you really begin to learn something about personalities of these leaders and how they made their policy, which is, I think, what made the book so rich. In addition to the party archive, I also had extensive access to the foreign ministry archive. Sadly, the access procedures for that particular archive are much more difficult. You have to go through an entire process of being cleared by God knows what agencies, and in the end they give you an opportunity to work there, but it's very restrictive. And I don't know if anybody can actually get in there now. As for the other archives, you can actually still go there. I wouldn't recommend it, though, because of course Russia has now the practice of taking people hostage. So even I cannot go there now. I certainly do not plan to go back to those archives. But the fact remains that a lot of these materials remain available even now. Some materials, however, are still still classified. That includes materials from the FSB, materials from intelligence, the SVR. Military archives are neither here nor there. They have tried to progress a little bit on the question of declassification, but haven't really succeeded all that much. But in any case, we now do have a vast amount of source material using which we can basically revisit every aspect of Soviet foreign policy and rewrite the history of the Cold War. And this is what I try to do in this book. Thanks for listening.